Hi, my name is Matt Kosterman. As of 2026, I'm a 56-year-old white guy who lives in Chicago, Illinois. Over the past 10 years, I've transformed my life from one of chronic pain, depression, and financial struggles to one of freedom, contentment, and prosperity. I mean, sure, I've been known to get a little down at times, but hey, what human design projector isn't? I started this podcast to share with the world some of the amazing humans that have assisted me in my journey. In this season, I'm talking with more people who practice so-called alternative healing modalities. Basically, this is most things outside of what we know in America as the medical industrial complex. Shit is messed up around here, what with all the conflicting incentives. So my overall intention with the permission slip is really just to introduce people to other ways of relieving their suffering beyond taking a pill for the rest of their life. Hi, this is Matt, and I'm back with another episode of The Permission Slip. Today I'm with Jeremy Robinson, who's coming to us from beautiful Northern California. Jeremy is a medicine sitter, has been doing this work for quite some time, and has a fascinating origin story as well as incredible gifts working with people in non-ordinary states of consciousness using plant medicines and psychedelic medicine. So welcome, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Thanks for being here. We actually got connected through a woman, Marion. I'll probably butcher her last name because it's Norwegian. Siljeholm, I think is what it says. But she wrote a lovely paper on the power of MDMA to heal complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I believe sat with you not too long ago, right? And also interviewed you for the paper as well.
Correct.
She suggested that we get together. So here we are. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Jeremy, tell us about this. How does one, I mean, I know my path, I did some of this work, sat with people, wanted to, like we just talked about, I wanted to call myself a guide, but I was probably just sort of an advanced sitter at best. So tell us where you were born, California, raised.
Yeah, born California, raised here.
Young parents.
Third generation Californian, same town. Yeah, great parents. They had me young.
Yeah.
Which I think led to a lot of the initial childhood issues that I got growing up, in regards to just being left alone. You know, I'm Gen X, so latchkey generation, just kind of parents both working, kids being left alone. It was the last generation where we just kind of had freedom. Yeah. Where our parents just kind of turned us loose during the day, and in the summer, expected us home when the lights came on. Totally. And we all came back.
How did they all know that? Like, there were no cell phones. How did all the parents know that you let the kids go out until, I mean, I was like 10 years old, and I'd be riding my bike 25 miles outside of Madison, just, wherever. It was great.
No, what's funny is now that I'm later in age, I'll be sitting with my parents during a barbecue with my siblings or cousins, which I grew up very close with, and we'll all start telling stories. And we'll start telling stories about things that we did when we were out, outside of our parents' view.
Right.
And you look at their faces and their eyes are just like wide and their jaws drop and they're like, you guys were doing that?
Yeah.
It's like, of course we were. Like, we were
kids.
No one was watching us. Right. We were having a great time. Like, we were out there living life.
Yeah. But boy, you better be home when the street lights went on, boy, or you're
exactly
in trouble.
Exactly. Get back by dinner. No, so I'm so grateful to actually have grown up in that era where we had that type of freedom.
Yeah.
Before the internet, before all of that came in, because while it one of the things that is kind of online right now about Gen X is that, we were bullied and we just dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
You never went to your parents. You never dealt with any of that in that way. You always just took care of it on your own.
On your own. Yeah. You either got in a fight or you just put up with it or
Right.
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my issue was that I put up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I never fought back. And I remember my father telling me at one point, he said, I'm okay if you fight, but they have to throw the first punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit in these bullying situations and just wait for that punch to be thrown, but it was never thrown.
Yeah. It was a verbal punch. It was never a physical punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would sit there and just absorb it all over and over and over again. And so I became very introverted. I read a lot. I never wanted to be a tattletale, so I never told my parents about what was going on with me at school or my friends. Again, like generationally, you just dealt with it, right? It was just the thing that you did.
And you also had you said fairly fundamentalist Christian.
Yeah,
upbringing.
Raised very fundamentalist Christian upbringing. It wasn't my choice. It was something that was just told. And I remember my mom telling me, like, this is who we are, this is what we believe, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we go to church every Sunday. And, even as a child, reading the Bible and studying, I always had questions. I always was, I have a very analytical mind that looks for inconsistencies and differences. And when you read the Bible, they're all over the place.
There's a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to point them out.
Right. And so I was always pointing them out. And I was always trying to understand, why is this here? Why is this said this certain way? And every time I brought that forward to pastors or youth leaders or my parents, I was told that I was wrong to ask, that I either didn't have enough faith or I wasn't praying enough or, any myriad of excuses as to why I shouldn't ask that question.
Well, let's lay a bunch of shame on you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I grew up that way. And then when I was 18,
did you experiment with drugs at all? And I mean, we were Gen X, so it was sort of, in California, no weed, no nothing.
No. So my dad was a very hardcore disciplinarian. If you ever do drugs, I'm going to kick you out of the house.
Okay.
Very, say no to drugs type person. And so I never had any need or want to try any drugs, although my friends did. And then at 18, I ran away from home. And I lived homeless in Los Angeles for a year and a half.
So not even couch surfing, literally homeless.
Yeah. On benches. Back in the 90s, you could actually go to car lots and they would have left the cars open.
Oh, no kidding.
So you could sleep in cars. That was my go-to place to sleep, actually.
Wow.
Well lit, you know.
Safe. Yeah.
Safe. Yeah.
Did you find the custom van dealership?
Oh gosh. Yeah. You always look for the custom model where you could sleep in the back of it.
Yeah.
And then, when the sun came up, he would leave and I would walk. I would walk the streets and the parks and the ocean and not have anything to do. But ultimately, I was doing what I felt like I needed to do, which was separate myself from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
It was my own self-initiation from being a child. And ultimately, I came back and we reconciled in a very small bit. And then I got married to my wife. We've been married for 20 years now. And we have a child. She's 16. She's amazing.
Mm.
And when I married her, I began a job that was very, very high stress, very long hours,
Corporate.
very technical.
Yeah.
Corporate, kind of like NASA mission control.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah. And did you get a college degree, or you just have this? You just self-taught?
I have no college, so I went through an apprenticeship.
Nice, beautiful.
So this was my apprenticeship as an operator, and I loved it. I loved the stress. I loved the multitasking. I loved the authority that I had with the job.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the hours. And then when my daughter was 10, I remember coming home on one of my very few days off, and she was in her room with a friend, and I could hear them talking. And she said, "You know what? Let me ask Jeremy." And I poked my head in and I said, "Jeremy who?" And she said, "Well, you." And I said, "I'm Dad." And she goes, "Well, that's what I meant." And I remember walking to my wife and saying, "I'm not home enough, am I?"
Right.
And she said, "You haven't been home in 6 years. You've missed your daughter growing up." And so I, in that moment, chose to change my career. And so I took a managerial job in the same department that I was working in. So it was working with the same people, the same industry that I had been tied in with for so long, something I knew, I understood. And then we went, before my new job started, we went on vacation to New Zealand for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
And during that 6 weeks, COVID started. And by the time we got home, everything shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so my new job all of a sudden was work from home. And so I'm sitting in my tiny house with my laptop in front of me, waiting for work. And it felt like I had been going 100 miles an hour for 15 years. And then suddenly I hit a wall.
Wow.
And I went down, and I wasn't going anywhere anymore.
Yeah. So yeah.
And
did you tell your daughter, be careful what you wish for?
yeah, oh, all of a sudden, she's happy about it now.
Yeah. There had to be some adjusting.
Yeah. But there was a period of about 6 months that I really, really struggled.
Mm.
I self-medicated with alcohol a lot. I didn't know what was happening with me. I would go on very long walks, and I began thinking about suicide. And ultimately, I remember sitting down at this pond near my house and going, this is what people who are depressed feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that I have a loving family, I have friends I can reach out to, and
right.
Yet that seems like the furthest option from my mind right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a non-option. And yet suicide feels like the only option I have to make this go away. And that was the moment that scared me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually called my doctor and I said, something's wrong with me. And I don't know what's going on, but I need some help. And she got me in. We did all the tests, making sure, no vitamin deficiencies, no anything like that.
Yeah.
Of course, all the tests came back normal.
Right.
And I'm so thankful for her now, because this is a doctor's office that I had been in for a long time. And I've always felt like cattle, like in, out, right? As fast as possible.
Yeah.
And yet during that appointment, she sat with me for an hour.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she talked to me. And at the end of the appointment, after we went over all the test results, she said, I'd like to put you on SSRIs and all this other medication. And I remember telling her, I had actually just read Michael Pollan's book.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I said, thank you. I'll hold on to these. But right now, I feel like whatever is going on in me is deeper than what these medications can touch.
Yeah.
And so I need to go deeper into my work. And she was so supportive of that.
Amazing. And unusual.
Right.
Yeah.
I was so surprised to have that conversation with her.
Yeah.
And of course, then began the
you do live
in
California, so you had a little bit of a head start.
I did, but ultimately that began my journey to find a guide. And this was back when it wasn't really a big thing.
Yeah, not like it is today.
No. And so I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what to search for on Google. I ultimately found a woman in Mill Valley in the Bay Area. And her website kind of had some keywords in it.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think
based on
I'm
Michael's.
I'm seeing the picture here.
Yeah. Right.
And she had a 10 question survey. And she said, hey, ask yourself all these 10 questions. And so I responded with an email, and I responded to all 10 questions. And she got back to me immediately. And she said, hey, you're certainly a candidate for my work.
Yeah.
But I'm booked. So I can't see you. She goes, however, I have a friend who I trained with who I think is in your area. So I'm going to forward your information to her. And the area happened to be my hometown.
Perfect.
And so I was able to be in contact with this beautiful woman who saw me and began my journey with medicine.
And what did you start with? What was the first?
We started with talk therapy for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then we moved to ketamine, low dose ketamine.
Yeah. Low dose. Yeah.
Which I was so thankful for, because it's what I use in my own work now. But what I didn't expect was that it allowed me to, I tell people it's like taking 3 martinis. It's like you kick them back and you're like, oh, I can share whatever.
Yeah. Life's good.
Like I'm an open book.
Yeah.
And so I remember sharing things with her during these sessions. And I remember like almost watching myself and going, you've never told anyone this before.
Interesting. It was all
and now
bottled
you
up.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even your wife.
But no.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it just felt like there was no shame, there was no guilt, there was no repercussion coming from it. It was just this openness of like this channel that we had, that we shared.
Was
And
it IM? Were you doing or IV?
no,
Yeah.
lozenges.
Lozenges. Okay. Troches. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and again, I'm so thankful for my guide, because these things that I was sharing with her, I would have expected her to recoil from.
Mm-hmm.
And she just sat there
Yeah.
and wrote. And I remember one of the sessions ended, and I was walking back to my car. I said, I'm curious, did anything I say today bother you?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, because you were telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it's not my job to judge people. And so I'll see you next week.
You're going like, what?
Right. After having a father like I did, like I had never experienced that grace
Yeah.
before.
It's beautiful.
And so then we moved to MDMA. We did 2 sessions with that. And that was where I finally was able to looking back now, I can see how twisted my connection with my father was, because I'm very visual in my medicine. So even with MDMA, it's always very linear visual storytelling. I see a lot of indigenous symbology. It's just always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I would see a small child crying in the journey, I would say, "Oh, that's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take care of him."
Mm.
And it wasn't until years later that I was like, "Oh no, that was you."
Projecting.
But my guide never told me that. She never corrected me.
Mm-hmm. Waited for you to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that she did that, because I remember sitting with her time and time again and being like, "You should know this. I'm asking you questions that should be easy for you. What does this mean?"
Okay. But she wouldn't assign the meaning.
Never.
Yeah, that's great.
Never did.
Yeah. That's a great point for listeners out there. If you do find yourself vetting potential guides, sitters, is, first of all, I love that there was the 6 weeks of prep. Because when I was guiding people, I would allow them to dictate, "Oh, I really need to get in and let's do something," without establishing that therapeutic alliance and giving the therapist the benefit of getting to know you sober,
Mm-hmm.
and to know
Yeah.
your story sober. And then the other, great point is that they didn't give you the meaning. They waited for you to make the meaning out of it, because we are meaning-making machines. It's what we do.
We are.
But it's a lot more powerful when you come to it than when somebody tells you what it is, as evidenced by your religious upbringing.
Yeah. I mean, I can still remember the moments months later or years later when I finally came to that conclusion. I was like, "Oh, that's what that meant."
Right? It's like, whoa, the light. Yeah.
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 It's like this beautiful connection between your experience, what you know, and no one brought you there.
You brought you there.
I did.
Yeah,
Yes, correct.
you
Brought
brought
me
you there.
there.
Yeah, you brought you there. Yeah.
And so I remember calling her years ago and being like, thank you so much for not telling me what things meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it means so much more to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how our stories they parallel one another. Your stuff is very, very visual, and mine is completely somatic because I had so much locked up in my body and my pelvis. And when I did MDMA for the first time, I had frozen shoulder. And the things that I saw was around similar. You know, my father worked a lot as yours did and wasn't around. You know, he was doing what he was programmed to do by his upbringing. And I was like, oh, you know, I was projecting it onto a friend. Oh, my buddy, he didn't have a dad. He died or whatever. And then I was like, oh, well, I didn't have a dad. Holy shit. And then it wasn't, and I walked into this session unable to move my arm outside of about 10 degrees without excruciating pain, and had tried PT, had tried a cortisone shot, and nothing, you know, touched it. And when the session was done, I could move it without any pain. And then 3 months later, I sat with ayahuasca the first time, came back, was leaving an integration session with the same therapist from the MDMA, and had to pull my car over on the side of the road because I called her and I said, I think this is it possible? Because very early in my journey, is it possible that this is from getting spanked as a child?
Yeah.
And I just lost it. You know, I just completely lost it. And then it just got looser and looser. And ever since it's been looser. So I just find that it's a fascinating, you know, parallel.
Yeah.
The way this stuff gets stored in our bodies and then the way it comes out. Yeah.
How did you come to the spanking in your body?
Just arose. We had a session, and she was talking about how this area under your arms is very tender area, especially as a child. And I think that's what tripped it. Because it just landed it was one of those things. I don't know if you've had this where you're kind of walking and you know something's coming. There's like something's coming. There's a big something, and it just kept coming. I should have just stayed in the parking garage, but instead I started driving, and I'm in traffic. It's like 5 o'clock, and I called her. I said, I think this is from what? I just had to pull the car over, and she's like, yeah. She said, yeah, that's entirely possible. So it just spontaneously arose as a result of ayahuasca. I did 6 nights of ayahuasca and a day of mescaline, and so she beat the shit out of me, and I kind of go big or go
That's
home.
That's a lot of medicine.
Yeah, it was 12 days. You know, it wasn't like, you know, but it was a lot of medicine. So it just was the time, you know, the time. So anyway, I don't want to detract too much, but I want to kind of draw this parallel for people to say like it if you go through this kind of work, it's not going to necessarily be what Matt or Jeremy said, but it's probably going to rhyme. It's somehow like it's, you know, these things, you do enough of this and you see the, you know, everybody's body has a different way of holding on to it and expressing it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So anyway, you have this beautiful experience of realizing that this small child was what?
Yeah. The image I have in my head is it's dark. Mm-hmm. And there's a small child crying on the floor, kneeling down. And there's a lot of people in the shadows around him not helping. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And during the journey, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, oh, that's my dad. I need to help. But I couldn't get through the wall of people. And again, ultimately later, I realized that was me. I was the one that was crying and people were watching and not helping.
Yeah.
And I remember this journey happened in December. And I remember after the journey, you know, I'm coming out of it and I'm drinking tea by this window, this big plate glass window that overlooked this orchard. And I remember looking at this oak tree, and my guide came to me and she asked how I was doing. And I said, I feel like one of your fruit trees. I feel like, a fruit tree that you don't prune constantly has hundreds of sucker branches that come up and they take all the energy out of the tree and they don't produce any fruit and they just are a menace. But in order to actually produce fruit in the tree, you have to cut the tree back hard.
Yeah.
So it can focus energy on the good fruit. And I said, I feel like I've been pruned back. I had hundreds or thousands of different things all up in the air at once that I was trying to manage, and they're all gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back to the root. I'm back to the base. And I just remember sitting there with my tea going, oh, this is the beginning of something.
Yeah.
This is going to be something different.
For your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, something that I did from the beginning that I wish I wouldn't have done was that I would come home and tell my wife about my journeys,
Mm-hmm.
even the hard ones.
Mm-hmm.
I remember coming home a couple times and saying, I will never do that again in my life.
The thing that, not the journey or
The journey.
Okay.
And we're talking psilocybin now.
Okay. So you moved on to, mushrooms. Yeah.
I did 2 MDMA sessions and then we moved on to psilocybin. And they were hard because I am a control person.
Mm.
I need to control my environment. I need to understand 1,000 different paths that are available to me so I can find the safest one.
Okay.
That's how I grew up, is you walk on eggshells and you anticipate everything that can happen all the time.
All the time. Hypervigilant.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when you go into a journey with the mushroom, you can't.
Doesn't work that way.
you can't do that.
No.
So I remember coming home from that first journey and just being wrecked. And I don't remember much about the journey, but I remember at the hardest point, I was losing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was losing everything I had. And I remember reaching out and thinking about, oh, I have a wife. And the moment I thought about it, the mushroom stripped it. Oh, I have a daughter.
Mm.
Stripped. I have a job. Stripped.
Gone.
My animals stripped until there was nothing left.
Mm.
And it's like the medicine stripped all the things that I had created an identity around. And it said, who are you without these?
Yeah.
And it left me in the dark with that for a long time. Mm-hmm. But it gave me a candle. Mm. There was a candle with me in the dark. And I just remember this crushing pressure all around me that was trying to put the candle out. Mm. But it stayed lit. It never faltered with all of these waves and wind and pressure that was coming up against it. It was stable. And I remember thinking, oh, that's me. That's who I am.
Stable.
Yeah.
Unwavering.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what?
But I came out of. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And you said you had, because I think this is an important point. And I agree with you on this as well. And I still do this. But you said, I wish I hadn't shared so much right after the journey.
Right.
Yeah, and I still do that. It's exciting and it's fun, and I want to share and all the weird, the weird shit. But what was your why do you wish you hadn't shared? What do you think would be different?
Because I think my first couple journeys like this one that
Yeah.
I'm explaining were really hard. And I remember coming home and she would ask me how it went. I would say it was horrible. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm not going to do it again. And then I would wake up the next morning and I'd go, I can do that again. Because I could understand what I learned from it. It was like, oh, I could have done this differently. I could have surrendered more. I could have, all these different things that come up. But ultimately, after a year of that, when I finally came to my wife and said, hey, would you like to do medicine with me? She was like, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
And I realized, like, oh, I've tainted her perspective of this by sharing what I shared.
She's just heard the negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now I've learned to really protect my journeys. And so whether it's with ayahuasca or wachuma or mushrooms, when I come home, she will always ask.
Mm.
But more often than not, I will always tell her, you know what, this is for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding on to this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
I'm okay. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
I survived.
Yeah. And if there was an extraordinary experience, I love to share that with her, and I will.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's a lot of interpersonal deep work that happens. And what I've learned over the years is that sometimes you have to let that settle and let the seeds take root and really grow before you can share. And so I've been very careful and discretionary about what I share after those types of journeys.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, do you know what your human design type is? Do you ever studied human design at all?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. Oh, you might like it.
I know I'm an Enneagram 4.
I was going to guess that you were a 4 when we were talking. Based on some of the things you said, that you were a 4, the whole like going off and being homeless. That sounds like something a 4 would do.
Yeah. 4.
No, yeah. Check out human design. So I'm a projector in human design, which is a teacher. We're here to bring new information into the world, and which is part of this. So that's why. So I have a hard time not blathering on about what went on in my whatever you name it, journey, tantric, medicine, whatever it was. Like, oh, and then this happened, then this being jumped into me, and he was dancing. And, kind of like you people are like, you want me to do this shit? Are you kidding? But no, I mean, I think it's a blast. I think it's a hoot. I think it's a blast.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I actually partner my clients up with each other.
Nice.
So, still respecting confidentiality and all the agreements that we have. I always take a client that's further on in the process and I pair them up or buddy them up with a newer person who comes in, because a lot of these people who are coming into the work don't have anyone to talk to about their experiences or their journeys. And so I give them someone who's in the same process with them. And I'm like, you guys connect.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
You guys talk, share what's going on.
Yeah. So let's just back up. So what was when did you know that you wanted to start to do this for people? What was the catalyst?
I would say that I'm still a reluctant guide.
Okay.
Um,
But you are sitting, guiding, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you are doing it.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 4 years now, 5 years now.
Nice.
Um, I remember being invited to be part of an apprenticeship that I completed, and being the only one in the group who wasn't a therapist, wasn't a PhD, wasn't a doctor, and asking the leader who asked me, why me? Like, why am I included in this? Because I'm still working my own shit out. Like,
Yeah.
why am I here? And she said, you're an Enneagram 4. And she goes, some people are just built for this work. Some people feel other people deeply enough to understand what they need.
Yeah.
And how to heal them and how to work with them. And I see that in you. And so I want to foster that with you.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And so I went through that apprenticeship, and never advertised. I still don't. I ask the medicine to bring people to me, and they do. But I also have a corporate job.
Right.
So I am navigating these two very separate paths of life. This one path of supporting my family and making money and doing the 9 to 5. And then this other path that allows me to work with international clients and travel and do this work that I still bump up against this part in myself that doesn't feel worthy to do it. And yet there will be times in the middle of a session where I'm singing or doing body work on someone, and it's almost like I'm 5 feet behind myself and I'm watching myself and I'm going, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know how to do what you're doing right now?
It's probably not. It's not the you that you identify with being the you that's doing the work.
Right.
You're the You're the body. The body's the conduit for the work to come through.
Yeah. Right. And I think that over the years I've learned that, prior to a session, I always get really nervous because I'm trying to plan. I'm trying to
all the
what's
escape
going to
routes.
happen? What's going to happen? Have we already gone through, have we gone through all the basic work? Like, we're okay.
Right. Put your mask on before you're giving the mask to the child, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the moment that I'm in the medicine, all of that goes away. And it's just instinctual. It's just this human body working with another human body, going through the work.
Yeah. The pruning.
And the pruning.
The pruning.
And sometimes that can be a very beautiful process, and sometimes that can be a very hard process to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a guy on MDMA who basically screamed, yelled for 4 hours and shook. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know MDMA could do this. I thought it was gentle.
My last MDMA client did that for 7 hours.
7? Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 hours. And I remember sitting there going, it shouldn't last this long. what is going on?
What's going on? Yeah. Was there resolution relief after that for them?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There was a lot of pain
that
had to be released.
Okay.
And Yeah. I mean, yelling into pillows,
Right.
crying, the whole shebang. But, the one thing, they had headphones on
Mm-hmm.
for most of it. And so I knew they couldn't hear me.
Okay.
Because I could hear the music out of the headphones. They had turned them up so loud
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
that I could hear the music. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try and talk to them. But I was singing
Okay.
and I was rattling and I was working just around them. And the one thing that they said afterwards was, I actually asked a question. I said, did you ever know or sense that I was around you? And they said, yeah, because when the song changed, I could hear you singing.
Oh, okay.
And it brought me so much relief to know that you were right there taking care of me.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
Like, even in my work, even in all this pain, even in all this movement, that you hadn't left, that you were still there,
That you were still there.
that you were actually doing work.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that was really beautiful for me, because I think that a lot of the work that I do goes unnoticed.
Mm.
And I like that. I like to be a shadow. I like to be in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take the spotlight from the medicine ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to have someone say, oh, you know what? For just 3 seconds between songs, I could hear you.
I could hear you. I could feel you. I knew you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had instances of people, I had this happen once, not dropping in, where they resist it, want to control it,
Yeah.
we don't want to go into their bodies?
Oh, yeah. I've had 2 clients. One was very much like me, very controlling, very hard, very masculine, very just like locked in,
Mm-hmm.
just ready to go. And we did 2 sessions, and he would just be mad the whole time.
Just angry.
Yeah. He's like, when's it going to happen?
Yeah.
When am I going to get what I need?
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how much we breathed together or whatever. He was so focused on, I need fixing, so show me what I need to fix, and I'm going to get there.
Right. And ultimately, if you look at the meta picture of the whole thing, it was showing him what he needed to fix.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is the beauty of the way it works.
Yeah. But ultimately, with him, we worked for a year with MDMA, psilocybin, and LSD.
Okay.
And it was the same thing every single time.
And he was just blocking it.
Just blocking it. And he was just so focused on, show me what I need to fix,
mm-hmm.
and I'll take care of it. And I remember one time on the LSD, he's like, I see a door in front of me and I just want to get through it. How do I get through it?
Mm.
And I said, maybe wait. Step back. Wait for it to open. And he's like, I have a handful of keys. I'm trying every key. I can't get in.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, maybe wait. But he wouldn't.
Wouldn't wait.
And he was getting really frustrated after the year. And I said, you and I are very alike in how we're built, our histories, our fathers. I said, the one thing that really cracked me open was ayahuasca. And so I want to invite you to ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
And his first night, ayahuasca, nothing. Medicine wouldn't touch him. Just nothing.
Wow.
And the next morning, he was really frustrated. And he's like, I'm going to leave. I feel like I'm wasting people's time. Like this isn't going to work. And I said, please talk to, we have integration coming up, which is like a 3-hour process. So like, just share how you feel, open up, let people know where you're at, let the shamans know, because they can help.
Yeah.
And he was able to kind of crack open a little bit and really share and be vulnerable and let them know what he needed. And then I was sitting next to him, and then second night rolls around, and about halfway through the night, someone comes up to him and says, hey, are you okay? And he goes, sober as a judge. And they're like, well, we want you to come up to the altar so the shaman can work on you. And the story he tells afterwards was that he got up there and he was feeling so defeated. And he just kept telling himself, like, they're wasting their time on me. I'm guilty. Like, I feel guilty for taking all, time away from all these other people who are working and doing the work. And I'm just here screwing things up.
Wow.
And one analogy that he told me throughout the entire year, he's like, I feel like I just have a sledgehammer always. And I just want to break things open and fix them and keep things moving.
Smash.
And he said at one point, she worked on him for a long time with E12,
which are the songs that they sing.
Yeah, the songs and prayers that they sing to them. And he said eventually he just gave up.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked down at the altar, and there was a sledgehammer on the left. And then there was a feather on the right. And the medicine told him, you don't need the sledgehammer. It's the feather that does the work.
Yeah.
And since then, he has grown in the most amazing ways I've ever seen a man grow. For his family, his career. But it took a year of being worn down.
Of hitting himself with the sledgehammer.
Right. Over and over again.
And then, what's the old, saying about, if you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? Insanity.
Right. But then the ultimate understanding of it's so much effort to hit yourself with the sledgehammer over and over and over again. And yet it's the easiest thing to lay it down.
Right. But it's so hard. It can be so hard.
It is. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive to us.
It's counterintuitive. Yeah. And because it's familiar. The pain is familiar. The sledgehammer is familiar. It's a deeply rooted pattern.
Yeah.
I had a woman who it was MDMA, and she did very little movement while she was listening to the music. I was, moving some energy. And at one point she asked if I would hold her hand. And I did. And afterwards she said that was the hardest thing she'd ever done in her life. Was asked that question. And that's, those are the questions that you have to ask, the hard ones, whether you're in medicine or not, but especially in the medicine.
Yeah. Because I have a story that's the same way. I had to ask.
You had to ask.
My first group ceremony with mushrooms, there was a male facilitator who I didn't know. And halfway through the journey, I was like, I want to hold his hand. I need to hold his hand. And immediately I was like, well, why? Why? And so I end up in this thought process of, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you want to do that? And I never did,
Never did.
never did. And yet I emailed him after the ceremony and I told him what I had thought and what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he was entirely gracious. And he said, "Of course, I would have held your hand.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's my job.
Yeah.
Like I would have been honored to hold your hand."
Sure. How do you, which both of those points bring up a question around sitting and consent, right? So how do you deal with touch and consent to touch in your ceremonial space?
Yeah, great question. So what I tell everyone regarding of the medicine is I say, the only time I will ever touch you is on your shoulder to check in with you. So you can expect no touch from me unless I'm checking in, and I'll just gently tap you on your shoulder.
Like get them to open their eyes and acknowledge you. Yeah.
So we can talk. I said, however, I may touch you on the shoulder and I may talk to you and say, hey, I feel like I may need to work on you on your back, or maybe you can turn on your stomach so I can work on the back of your head. Is that okay with you? And all this is discussed ahead of the medicine. So I say, we go through all the ethics of it. We talk about inappropriate, requests. So there's always a long conversation ahead of time about what they can't ask for, what they can ask for, and what's acceptable. But ultimately, in the journey itself, the touch on the shoulder is the only thing that is non-consensual. It's just the check-in.
It's a check-in. If their eyes are closed or blind under an eye shade or whatever, and you want to check on them because they haven't seemed to do anything for a while.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. 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 Cause I know it can get fraught. So it's good to have be very clear up front. And I know it was always not always, but later on in the work, it was, you can change a yes to a no, but you can't change a no to a yes when the medicine comes on.
Exactly. And actually, when I was beginning my apprenticeship, CCM had just gone under.
Okay.
So that was still very new in the space. And so I was actually asked to research the downfall of that and the ethics around it.
And what was that? Who were they? CCM. It's a vague. This is like 4 or 5 years ago.
The Consciousness Center, Consciousness Center, CCM. I can't think of it right now. They were in Berkeley.
Okay.
It was owned by Francois and Aaron.
Okay.
But they were both sleeping with clients, and it became this massive thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately that led me to study a 6-month study of ethics in psychedelia.
Okay.
To learn about what's happened in the past, how to prevent it, and really kind of formulated the foundation of my own ethics in my work.
Did you come across a guy named Neil in that work?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Neil.
He's got a center. He's on the boards that I'm on, and he's got a center for psychedelic ethics. I think he's out west, but I don't know. And that brings up a good point that I wanted to touch on, is to talk a little bit about the shadow of this medicine, right? Because we tend to, the news media loves to focus on the shadow, but we often can tend to be like, oh, psychedelics are great and they change everybody, and it's amazing in just one trip and your whole life is different. But clearly, as the case with your gentleman who took over a year in multiple medicines. But what do you see as some of the shadows that people, just as sort of warnings for people if they want to do this work, get in, have not as a facilitator, but they're feeling called to working with psychedelics in one way or another to solve depression or anxiety.
Yeah. So what I tell people coming on is expect the first 6 months to be very, very hard. It'll feel like you're going backwards. Because ultimately, whether you're having amazing MDMA sessions or great psilocybin experiences, ultimately you're going to be digging up a lot of trauma that's been hidden in your body and your mind for a very long time. And so there are times where you're going to feel worse. And that's kind of one of the things I want people to understand is that it's called the work for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it is really hard.
Can be.
It can be.
Can be. I mean, it doesn't have to be always, but it can be.
No, correct. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
But when you start this, it can be a long process. I'd say the longest client I've worked with was 1.5 years. They had severe PTSD, sexual trauma, and by the end of the 1.5 years, they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that 1.5 years was up and down. It wasn't all daisies and roses along the road.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, like you said, I think the media portrays this as a one-pill wonder where you do it once and magically you're healed.
Yeah.
And your life gets better.
Right.
But
that's
ultimately,
it's the medical paradigm, right? Everybody's after the magic pill.
Right. But ultimately, I mean, even if you look at the indigenous ways that these tribes and these lineages have been using these medicines, it's an ongoing process that they use them.
Right.
Right. The tribes in the Amazon with ayahuasca, their children drink ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is a thing that they ingest in their bodies. They understand the relationship with the medicine and they work with it and they get a sense for it. But when we enter this space, we're foreigners to it.
Right. 100%.
And so it takes some time to integrate and build the relationship with the medicine before we can actually start working with it.
Right. With the medicine and with the provider.
Absolutely.
The Therapeutic Alliance. I mean, I worked with the same, I've been sat for over a year now with the toad medicine with the bufo, but I've sat with the same people more than a dozen times. And each time it allows me to go deeper because I trust them implicitly. Like I know,
right.
Because wild shit has happened and they've been fine with it, and I know it doesn't matter what I bring. It doesn't matter what the medicine brings. And so it's allowed me to deepen. So yeah, it's a great sort of a disclaimer more than a warning, but it can be. I mean, I've been at this since 2018 was my first experience with psilocybin. So going on 8 years now.
Can I ask you what your bufo practitioners or facilitators do that make you feel safe?
Well, there are a couple. They've been married a long time, and they've been doing the work for a long time, and also serving ayahuasca. And they are, like I said, it doesn't. I've ended up with no clothes on, in the end of the session, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I just remember being like, okay, these are coming off. Like, I want this off right now. And, and I can talk about anything with them. I had the benefit of, depending how you look at it, sometimes I look at it as not so much of a benefit, but I spent 12 plus years in therapy and on SSRIs. And so people will say, oh yeah, I did I had this psilocybin trip, or it was like 10 years of therapy in an afternoon. And somebody told me, yes, if you've done 10 years of therapy.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. But if you've never done any therapy, it can, I can imagine that it could be rough, like your experience with the ketamine. Like you said, that, you know, I mean, I had a lot of history of, you know, I did the whole landmark curriculum. So I stood up in front of people saying, I got, 6 figures worth of tax debt and I can't for the life of me figure out why. This is after filing for bankruptcy and foreclosure and getting divorced. And I still ended up, 5 years later with all of this tax debt. And so I had experience in places saying shadowy shit. Stuff that I would rather, but when you first get into these spaces, because like you found with the ketamine, you'd be like, oh, I think I'm going to talk about this right now. Yeah. I didn't find ketamine to be so truthy because I did some pretty big doses of it for the first time and it was later in my experience. But MDMA, I would often describe to people as truth serum because you're just like, oh, you'll just, okay, well, there it is. I'm just going to say this because this feels really true right now.
Yeah.
So that it was, to answer your question, it was just the multiple experiences and just how they handled things and who I saw them as during the journey and the way that they moved the energy and the way that they held the space and the way that they over time did less of the moving into the energy. And because we worked together over the course of about 4 years.
Yeah. You know what? I've met with a handful of clients where during our first talk session, either myself or they will say, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I always welcome that.
Right.
I let them know ahead of time. Like, if you feel like this isn't a good match, please let me know. I have a Rolodex of other guides I can put you in contact with. If you want a male or a female, like I can put you in contact with someone else who you really want.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to force this relationship at all. And then on the flip side, there's been many times where I've sat down and I'd look at the conversation and be like, whoa, this is outside my, thank you, dinner.
This is outside
this is outside of my range of being comfortable. Right? Especially when we're talking about things like early childhood sexual trauma.
Sure.
I'm not a therapist.
Right.
That's not something I can walk you through, even with the medicine, because other things are going to come up with that.
Yeah.
And you need someone who specializes in that. Yeah. And I have those people for you. So I'll put you in contact with them.
What would you say to somebody? So you were talking about how they were saying, "Oh, this doesn't feel like the right fit," or "I don't think the medicine's for me." How would you describe the process of discernment? How do you know that that's not fear talking and saying, "I don't want to go here"? It could be productive. I don't want to go here.
Yeah.
Or it's really truly, no, I don't think this is for me.
Right. So usually the process starts with a phone call.
Okay.
And so there's been times where I've had the same phone call with the same person for 6 months. It's like, hey, I'm available. Let's meet up. Let's have a coffee. Let's just talk. And they ghost me.
Okay.
And then I'll reach out 6 weeks later. Like, hey, are we still okay? You still want to meet up? What's going on? Are you okay? Ghost. I'm like, okay, well, the medicine isn't calling them right now.
Yeah.
But when they show up in front of me, I'm like, okay, this is serious. Like they're taking this hard step toward healing. And so when they're actually able to do that, when they're actually able to face me in a coffee shop or a park, I know that they're taking this seriously and they actually want to begin this process.
Yeah. And then what does it look like? How often are you getting together in preparation typically?
Yeah. So once we kind of build a rapport together, we go back, we kind of meet for coffee a couple times just to make sure that we're a good fit. After that, we'll meet once a week for an hour, just to talk. And I start building a map of background trauma. Of course, at this point, I've already done the intake for them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very, very long intake form that they have to fill out before I work with them. And yeah, it's really just about building the rapport further, allowing them to really unpack and unload, because a lot of people have been carrying so much for so long that when they finally have the opportunity to just kind of like let everything out, I just let them regurgitate everything that they have onto me.
Yeah.
And then eventually it comes differently for different people, but eventually we get to a point where it kind of feels like we're just talking back and forth at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I'll say,
it's just sort of more story. The story is just kind of getting told over
exactly.
and over.
And at that point, it's more of like, okay, I think we need to start planning your next, the journey that's coming up for you.
And then are they coming to you saying, I want to do MDMA, I want to do mushrooms? Like, are you figuring that out as you go?
No, I follow the same protocol for everyone.
Okay.
So it's always ketamine to start.
Got it.
It might be one, it might be 2 sessions, but always one.
Always one, yeah.
Because that allows me to see ultimately, like, are they really opening up? After all of those talk sessions, did they actually share what they wanted to share? Because the ketamine will allow them to open up and actually share that deep thing.
Yeah.
Then we go to MDMA, 1 or 2 sessions, depending on how they respond to it. And then we go to psilocybin afterwards.
Got it, yeah.
Because I think ultimately ketamine allows me to create a deeper map of their trauma and where they've been and what they need.
Okay.
MDMA allows me to work in that trauma. It allows them to see it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And then psilocybin ultimately allows them to integrate all of the work together and bring it back home.
Interesting. Yeah. 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 I had done psilocybin on my own for the first time and had an amazing experience, powerful, and then didn't do any. So which brings me to my next question. I didn't do any integration work. I wasn't doing any work. I just was like, I was kind of like your guy who I just want to be fixed. Like I just wanted, my body was moving all over the place. It was crazy. I saw the great big light. I dove into it. All that was, I was crying. It was amazing. And then my body was still screwed. Like I was still in tons of pain. And so I went to I got connected with a therapist via somebody out your way who said, you can come here or I can connect you there. Found this person. And I was like, I want to do psilocybin, but I want to do it the right way. And they said, well, okay, well, let's just talk a little bit. And I said, yeah, I think MDMA is going to be the better fit for you here. And I think because I had 12 or 15 years of therapy, I bypassed the whole ketamine route at the time. But and then it wasn't indeed exactly the right thing at the time. The MDMA was phenomenal. So then what do you, what's the post? What do you do integration wise? What's your, you said you pair them with a mentor of sorts, a partner, which I think is beautiful.
So ultimately, people who work with me, it's an ongoing process. So it's not like a bubble of one and done, one journey, pre and post work. It's usually an ongoing process. And so, we do post integration. We continue our weekly sessions to further integration, to allow them to ask questions, and this is usually the point where they're like, I think we can back off from weekly to bi-weekly.
Sure.
Like, no problem, we can do that, because I think, like you said, they're working with their buddy.
Right.
So they're talking on the back end with these other people who have already either are further on in the process, and they're learning from each other. They're being able to share their experiences. They're talking. But ultimately, everyone has come to a point where they look at me and they say, I think I'm okay. I don't think I have to meet bi-weekly or monthly anymore.
I'm good.
Like I still want to meet for journeys if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm good.
Yeah, it's great.
And sometimes people will actually begin using medicine on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Once they've kind of gotten the flow for it, they understand the feeling, they understand how to self-regulate.
Yeah.
They'll kind of come to me sheepishly and be like, so last weekend I took MDMA on my own.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm like, heck yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, I mean, and ultimately that's my goal, right? I want people to feel comfortable to use medicine for their own work.
Yeah. I had that.
I want them to feel confident in their own ability to sit for themselves.
Right. Because you can. I mean, I had the same conversation with Katie Simons, who's a PharmD down in Santa Fe or Taos, and she does, in addition to consultations of medicine interactions, she serves medicine, and we had that conversation. Like, you can get mushrooms and go take them. Like, nobody in the history of the world has died from doing this. Not from the mushrooms. I mean, make sure you got somebody you can call, or maybe you've got a sitter or something like that, but they're not going to hurt you.
No. And I did the same thing.
Yeah.
In my early work, I remember coming to my guide and saying, I took a little bit of mushrooms this weekend for myself. And what was funny was I felt like I was this little boy coming to his mom, confessing, doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like I had violated some agreement.
Some code.
Yeah. And she just smiled. She goes, how was it?
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
Yeah.
And, she was the one who said, this is what I want. I want you to be okay with taking this yourself.
Yeah.
And trusting yourself.
Yeah.
To do the work. Ultimately you shouldn't need me.
No. So you put the people together in pairs. I'm just curious, have you brought together like a group integration at all with clients?
I've thought about it, but I haven't.
I asked because there is a group here in Chicago. They meet virtually now, which isn't I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather meet in person. But pre-COVID, they were meeting like last Wednesday of every month, and so we would get 20, 25 people sometimes to talk about psychedelic shit, and then they spun off, and they would do one of the people was a couple of them were licensed therapists, and they would do a 6-person integration group for 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I did that twice, and it was super useful because you get a lot of times you can get things out of your life from hearing somebody else's story. So it sounds like you're creating like such a great community and things with people. I just was curious if you'd done that.
And I live in a community right now that's very. I want to be careful about this.
That's fine. I get it.
We have a very robust underground presence here.
Sure.
And so there are integration circles everywhere.
Yeah.
There are circles everywhere. You can't throw a rock and not hit someone who's doing this work.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is fantastic, right? For access and for people to be able to seek the work. And so, I can imagine that if I was in the middle of Nevada, where that access was very limited, that the need for an actual circle to bring everyone together and do that work would be really, really important.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, Chicago's still a little bit behind California in that regard as well. It's happening here, but much more slowly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm very fortunate in where I live right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, Jeremy, that was great. Amazing conversation. Anything you want?
Thank you so much.
Anything you want to add? Anything you want to close out with? And final message? Any great books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to?
Oh, you know what? I'm not a big podcast listener, actually.
Yeah, me neither. I just have one.
Listen. I might have to check up on yours. No, just listening to a lot of music. I would recommend if people are looking for some amazing, thoughtful tribal music to look up the Huni Queen tribe of the Amazon. They have some great stuff on YouTube
On YouTube. How do you spell it?
live.
Huni Quinn?
Hunikuin.
Oh, so like it sounds. Okay, great.
Yeah, so Huni Quinn.
Huni Quinn.
Beautiful medicine songs. They have a very small community in the Amazon, and there's actually I'm going to do a shout out here really quick because I need to.
Yeah, because we didn't even get into the whole, a little bit about the Icaros and the music, but we didn't even get into the whole music is the medicine.
It is.
It guides it.
So the organization is called Nuabu Culture. I can spell it.
Yeah,
it's
spell it.
NAWABU culture.co.
NAW
ABU.
ABU. Okay, it's spell checked. It's a culture. Okay.
Yep. .co.
.co. Okay.
They are huge advocates for the Huni Queen tribes and really bringing forth the medicine to the people, bringing their music out. And yeah, I can't say enough about the work that they do. So
great.
Always happy to bring that forward.
Great resource. I'll put that in the little texty thing in the podcast below.
So. And always great music for medicine work. Their prayers are very potent, and something I always sing in my own work.
Amazing. Have you said? Speaking of that, have you done a despacho prayer circle before?
I have not.
Oh, despacho is beautiful, beautiful. It's from the Quechuan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lay down a fabric, and then you bring in different earth elements, anything from leaves and pine cones and chocolate and cornstarch and corn and just all that. And then during the ceremony, as you're journeying on the medicine, as you're individually called to come up front, not by anybody, but you feel called to go up front, you build a mandala. You add to the mandala with the earth elements as you say your prayers,
Oh wow!
And then at the end, it's all wrapped up, and there's a beautiful ceremony where they come around and sing the prayers and hold them on your belly and hold them on your head, and then bury them or burn them the next day, and it's super beautiful.
Wow!
So if you ever
oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. First time first time we did, I was just a puddle. I was we had like professional musician was singing, and I was just we're useless.
Oh my gosh!
In the best way.
Yeah. The more I my shaman is actually Apache, and so she's got me into a lot of indigenous traditions and introduced me to a lot of people. And man, they're Sundance, Moon Dance, Sweat Lodge. It's just so intriguing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I haven't had opportunity to do any of it yet, but
I just did a deep dive, a thing called shamanic de-armoring. In April was over a 2-week retreat that opened and closed with the Sweat Lodge, and then we were doing it was breath, vibration, and sexual energy that we were moving for the whole time. No medicine whatsoever, and super powerful. It was the Twisted Hair Elders, and they do a Sundance for 10 days in June, which I may do next year. Sounds pretty cool. It's in
which state?
Northeastern Arizona, I believe.
Okay,
gotcha. Which I think is up. Yeah, is that Four Corners? It's up in the high desert.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
The Sundance that we're familiar with is up in, I think, South Dakota or North Dakota.
Yeah, the big
Lakota.
one. Lakota. Yeah. Yeah, that's intense, man. They pierce their chest and tie themselves to trees. Yeah, it's crazy. In a good way.
One day.
One day. All right, brother. Well,
right,
thank you so much. That's peace out on this. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah.